Hi, and welcome to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation focused on youth mental health. Before we begin today's episode, I just wanted to let you all know that all content that is found in our podcast is created for informational purposes only. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or therapy. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard in this podcast. Thank you so much, and without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm thrilled to announce to you our second episode with Dr. Denise Pope. We had an incredible, eye opening conversation during our first episode where we focused on your book Doing School and the critical reasons why students end up prioritizing performance over learning. Today, we will be exploring the real strategies we can use to fix this and how we can achieve both genuine engagement and sustainable success. So, Dr. Pope, it's a privilege to have you here today.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, in the last episode, we talked about student disengagement and stress. And how have social media and AI evolved or intensified these problems?
Oh, that is a really good question. I I think social media has a lot of pros and a lot of cons, right? I think on the pro side, it brings kids together, kids who maybe don't feel like they can find community in their own school, find community online. It brings us news for better or for worse of the world, right? There's some really good things about social media. However, it can become very distracting. And so when you are already a very busy person and you have a ton of homework and you have a lot of extracurriculars and a lot of coursework, you can get sucked in to scrolling on your phone, to feeling like you have to keep up with, everybody's Instagrams and TikToks and whatnot. So I feel like there's some good things about social media, and then there's some things that are really adding to the lack of sleep and the stress, and some of the bullying that we've been seeing, some of the negative behaviors. So that's one thing. Also, we know that when you are on a device like a phone or a computer really close to bedtime, it can keep you awake. And we know that a lot of kids have devices in their bedroom at night, which can also keep students awake. And also, even if they're not on it, thinking about it, listening, waiting for the little buzz. There's been lots of research that shows you will get a much better night's sleep if you take all the devices out. So that's the social media answer. AI is another stressor. Again, AI can do amazing things, and it's going to save us a lot of times, and it's already done some amazing things in terms of the fields of medicine, let's say, and efficiency. And I don't believe that students should be told that they can't use AI in school. That said, it is very tempting, right? Before AI, we had students who were outwardly cheating. And on our surveys, we know that a high percentage of students over the course of the past year admitted to cheating in some way, shape, or form. Now AI is here. It's another way to cheat. It's very tempting. It's very easy to say, oh my gosh, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I have an essay due tomorrow. And I haven't started. And I'm just going to use AI to help me. And then before you know it, AI is kind of writing the paper for you. So I'm worried. There's good and bad to both AI and social media. And I do think it may be adding to the stress.
Yeah, and for the social media part, like, yes, social media, it can add stress. Like, usually there used to be like FOMO, like fear of missing out. And now with all the like devices and instant, like you can see people's locations now, that it's like FOFO, like fear of finding out. And that kind of adds
Mm.
stress, like, oh, these people don't like me, like I'm not invited and I don't. So I feel like that's also like underlying like stress that or pressure that anxiety, like I don't belong with them, truly.
Very much so. FOFO. It's good. I'm learning a new acronym. So for sure, FOMO and now FOFO.
Yeah. And then yeah, I think AI, if you can use it properly and with the students, it can help you. So a key thing I noticed in your book and some of your presentations is that we do like the homework just to get over with it. Like some topics I would find interesting in the homework, but other times it just feels like a chore to get the grade and the high grade. So this happens usually because we're not engaged. So you've shared like the ABCs of engagement. So could you break it down for us?
Sure. So the A is affective engagement. Are you interested in it? Do you like it? Do you have fun while you're doing it? Right. The B is behavioral engagement, which most kids who we see are doing the work. That just means you're putting effort in, right? And then the C is cognitive engagement, where you think that it has a purpose, where you think that it's meaningful. You know how you hear kids say, when am I ever going to need this again? If you have cognitive engagement, you understand the purpose of why you're learning something. And so what we want to see is kids who understand why they're learning it, they want to learn it, they're enjoying it, they're interested in it, and they're not just going through the motions. They're not just doing school, right? So that's hard because there's going to be topics that you might not be interested in, and then who who's who is it responsible for making that interest happen? Is it the teacher? Is it the student? It can't just all be on the teachers to make sure that everybody's fully engaged. But we also know when you're exhausted, when you're overloaded, it's really hard to fully engage.
Yeah. So, yeah, I really like this acronym of ABC. And like I feel like as students, we usually do the B part of like behavior. Like we always go through the motions, finish the homework, do the tests and whatnot. But at least for me, like in some classes, like I don't know why, what's the need of taking it? Or
Mhm.
I'm not like interested in the topics. So even though we don't have like the power to change the syllabus at this point, so how can we still increase the parts of effectiveness and cognitive engagement?
Well, I think for the first part, when you do have choice over the courses that you take, choose courses that genuinely interest you. I think a lot of kids choose courses that they think will look good on a college application. You're going to do better when you are more engaged. So I want you to choose something that you're genuinely interested in. Now, what do you do about the classes that you're required to take that you have no interest in? That's where you have to find a way to find a connection between something in the class and something that you're interested in. When a teacher says, this is what I want you to write a paper on, it doesn't hurt to say, is it possible for me to write it on this topic instead, right? So to kind of tie it to your interest. Or if it's something like math where you just really don't understand when you're ever going to use it, try to think of ways that you can apply math, right? There's a ton of math and physics involved in skateboarding, let's say. Like pick one of your hobbies. My guess is there's usually math and science involved. So find ways that you can find interest in things, even if you don't love the entire class, find ways to make it meaningful. And then the other thing is see if you can work with a friend. Often that increases engagement. Let the teacher know that you really are interested in taking the subject, you want to learn the material, but maybe ask the teacher to break it down and show how you might be using it in the real world.
Yeah, I loved how you showed that even though we can't like change syllabuses or whatnot, we still can like choose how we perceive it. So first you said like choosing the course, like take a course that we're genuinely interested in, not oh like 10 APs because it looks good on like a transcript. And then also like actually not always blaming it on teachers that they can't teach, they're horrible, like seeing okay, well, I have what I have, but how can I like try to be more engaged in the class?
Exactly. You have control over your reaction
Mhm.
and how you approach the course, even if you don't have control over the syllabus.
Yeah. And so, as we're talking, school stress and anxiety is getting worse. And especially about anxiety to get into a top university. So, in your book, the students emphasize that their goal is to get into a good university. So, Kevin says people don't go to school to learn, they go to get good grades, which bring them to a good college, which brings them to the high paying job, which then brings them to happiness, or so they think. So you founded Challenge Success and created a guideline for students and families called a fit over ranking. So how can we redefine success?
Well, that's a great question, right? So we're challenging the narrow notion of success that Kevin just talked about. Like there are lots and lots and lots of ways to be successful in this world, and getting top grades and test scores and going to the most elite college is one way, but there are many, many, many others. So we wrote a paper where we looked at all the research on if where you go to college matters. And it turns out for the vast, 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 vast majority of people out there, it really doesn't matter where you go to college. It matters how you go to college. And what I mean by that is you want, the internet allows professors to talk to people at all different colleges. So it's not that there are only the best professors at certain colleges, right? You want to find a college that is the right fit for you. In fact, the fit is way more important than the ranking of the college. So that's how we came up with the name. It kind of has two meanings, the paper. A fit over rankings is people are having a fit over these rankings, which often are made up numbers, by the way. But also, we believe that it's so important for you to find the right fit school. If you're at a place where you are homesick, where you don't find the people who you feel you can be your authentic self with, where you can't get to know a professor or do the kind of research or studying you want to do, that's not a good fit. So the good news is there's thousands of colleges out there, not just 20 or 30 or 40, that would be really a perfect fit for students.
Yeah, and I feel like especially around like the Silicon Valley Bay Area, there's a lot of stigma about like smaller colleges and like junior colleges because people are like, yeah, I know later on when I go it won't matter, but it's like telling people, "Oh, I go to like this small college. I go to a college that you don't even know the name of." So how do you work around that?
Well, one is we are working with college counselors and parents and students to really understand just how many colleges there are, and that it's actually a great sign if you're going to a school that no one's heard of. One, because it's the right fit for you. You're trying to find the right fit for you, and you're staying open to something that might really be the place for you, right? So, how do we? It's the same thing as how you would convince someone like you don't have to buy the most expensive tennis shoes, right? It's peer pressure for really no reason. And sometimes we convince people that the best place to go is a community college because in the state of California, they're free and you walk right in, you get your feet wet, you kind of get a sense of what college is like, and they are the first students who the University of California looks at when it comes to transfers. So if you want to get into UCLA or Cal or UC Santa Barbara, UC San Diego, often starting at a community college, getting some good grades so they see that you're ready for college work, figuring out what you want to study, and then transferring to a four-year might be the way to go. The other thing I would just say is we all look around, we all know people who went to all these different colleges. You would be very surprised where your community leaders and leaders in the world have gone to college. You can start asking and find out. And um, there are some amazing places out there all over that would love to have you that don't take just 2 or 3% of the applicants.
Yeah, I loved your like analogy of like it's buying tennis shoes. Like you don't have to buy the most expensive, the most trendy, the most like expensive or popular one, but what fits your shoe size. Like if they don't have your shoe size, why would you buy the shoe? So
Exactly.
yeah, so I like that one. And then finally, Dr. Pope, if you could give one piece of advice to high school students right now who are drowning in homework and stressing over their GPA, what's one actionable thing they can change today?
So this is one thing that we study at Challenge Success, and it's called coping. There's two different kinds of coping. There's the positive kind of coping that we want to see more students do, and then there's something that's called negative coping. I would suggest for students is to really think about the positive ways to deal with stress. Go for a run, take a hot shower, um, talk on the phone with a friend or a parent. Figure out ways that you can really eliminate some of the stress in your life, cope more positively with it. Sleep is a major factor for coping. If you're absolutely exhausted and you've got hours of homework ahead of you, you might want to go to bed, set an alarm to wake up a little bit earlier. When you start being exhausted and you're reading and rereading the same paragraph over again, you are not being efficient and you're not doing the homework in a way that's going to be meaningful for you. When you look at it fresh with fresh eyes, it's going to help. So I think for sort of an immediate, almost band-aid, I would say try to sleep, try to go for a run, try to take a shower, try to do some meditation or yoga or talk to a friend. All good ways of dealing with stress, right? In the long run, I want students to look at the classes they're signed up for next year. Look at the schedule that they're looking at right now. Is there anything in your schedule that you can drop that you don't have to do? If it doesn't bring you joy, right? Maybe you should get rid of it. And so there's both short-term and long-term things that kids can do.
Yeah, that's a fantastic strategy. So focusing on positive coping, which was taking care of like physically and health. So like taking a nap, sleeping, exercising you mentioned, and then also like getting up early to work because I think there have been some studies that show like whether you work late night or you wake up early, like the productivity is different. So
Hmm.
yeah, I really like that. I am going to be practicing the exercising more part. I mean, I do play a sport, but like in between I'm working. So thank you for not just outlining the problem in doing school, but for actually providing the evidence-based framework that we can use to fix this crisis. What we learned is that high performance is impossible without high well-being. So once again, thank you so much, Dr. Pope, and we look forward to having you again.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. And I hope that, oh, I thought of one more positive coping. Take a break from your phone, right? You can set some device timer on it. You can do whatever it is, put it in a totally separate room when you're trying to get work done. That lack of distraction is going to make you more efficient, and that is going to make you less stressed as well.
Yes, that is a wonderful one. So thank you, Dr. Pope, and thank you, listeners.
Thank you.
You are listening to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation. As part of our youth series, we will be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure to continue to check those out. We hoped you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you so much for listening.